Like many of you, I enjoy flying my Autel X-Star drone, and the biggest challenge we run into is having batteries for the drone. On a recent purchase, I picked up a drone that had 5 brand new batteries with it that would not hold a charge, and I'll show you what I've learned working with the batteries to bring new life back to the batteries. How do we bring some new life back to these batteries? Well, again, these are low flight time batteries, hardly any flights on them. The person I bought them from had bought them, flew for a while, put the drone in storage, brought it back out, and then the batteries wouldn't charge. So what can happen is the voltage can drop on the batteries below what I understand to be like a 3-volt threshold, where around 3 volts is what the minimum is needed for the battery charger to pick it up. I could show you on the other 4 that I did, when I pushed the button down, I got no response in terms of no LEDs. The button didn't light up. This one has a little bit more of a charge to it because the light will still flash, but again, the other ones did not. And then I can hook the battery to the charger. Again, you can see the green light's on for the charger over here on my left, but the battery charger does not pick up that the battery is connected to it. So what we're going to do, and I'll show you in a second here, is we're actually going to be able to remove the top cover. I'll show you how to do that. And then find our positive and negative terminals in the battery. And we can charge the battery that way. So I know this, again, I took one battery apart that wouldn't charge, exposing the insides of it. So again, we've got our positive and negative that come through the top of the board here. We know that from the wiring that's on the board originally. So these are the original connections that were on the board. So our positive or negative. Again, using our voltmeter, we can verify that. But we'll do that and we'll check the charge of the battery. All right, so we let our battery sit for a few minutes here with the charger attached to it. Again, it did not pick up the charge or pick up the battery pack that was there, so it's still in the same state that it was. Again, light will flash, but nothing else happens. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and remove the cover from it. So again, we're actually taking the top cover off the battery here. Button stock. So these square rectangular holes here, these little pins inside the cover here actually click into those and hold the cover on, so that we have to just work this off a little bit. A couple little flat screwdrivers. Again, be very careful when you do this because you are messing with a lipo battery. You always have the potential risk for fire or explosion when you start working with these. So I'm going to take a screwdriver. Hopefully the lighting's good. You can see it. We'll try to work it between the case here. We'll do 2 screwdrivers. One to get us started inside the case there, and the other to kind of work the case down. Again, you may have to go around the battery a couple times, and you have to hold it off the table so you're not putting pressure on the bottom, in terms of you're not snapping the cover back on as you're trying to work it around, get it off. So mostly this took a couple times around to get it to the plastic to loosen up enough to get the covers out. That one's kind of working itself already. So with success, maybe we can do this first time around here. Again, these are tight when they're have not been opened before. So you kind of see that's coming down there. Again, I'm off the table, so I'm not pushing down, pushing this back together. That's the biggest thing. Like if you try to work it off and you're pushing down on it, it's going to click back into place and you're going to start all over again. I know I've done that a few times. So. All right, this one's going to be a little more stubborn, so I put it on the table to get a little bit of play in the... All right, again, you want to be careful as you do this, because if you pop it off, the button can go flying. You have to go look for the button, so just carefully kind of work around the edges. All right, so there we go. So now we've got it loose. So my screwdriver's down, get those out of the way. Grab it and kind of wiggle a little bit, pulling it towards your hand. And there we go. So that got the cover off. Again, this exposes the top of the battery. We've got a flashing light there. So what I have to do is I got to go grab my X-Acto knife. We're going to cut the tape around here to be able to pull it back and get to the contacts. But let me go grab the knife. We'll be back in a second. All right, so I've got our knife here. Again, extreme caution. What we're going to do is cut the tape. Again, our main point of contact is here. If you saw earlier on, I believe I showed this earlier. Again, there's main, contacts here. There's not much else around the circuit board. There's a few little things right below on this one side, but if you're very careful as you do this slowly, again, you're not trying to cut the board in half, you're just trying to score the tape so you can peel the tape back. Again, just do it with a little caution, slow. You don't necessarily have to cut it the entire width of the slot here, but it helps to get the tape out. So again, carefully removing, or carefully cutting the tape to try to get it out here. There we go. I had some tweezers and stuff here, probably would help me too. I could grab it and pull it back. So, alright, so as you see there, we've got this exposed. So this should be our negative side, because this is the side closest to the port that plugs into the charger, into the drone itself. This will be our positive side. And I would label these two if you have a Sharpie with you. I had one somewhere. I think I let the kids borrow it. So, all right, so we've got this one exposed. You can see there. So now you can see the contacts on that side and the contacts on that side. So, what I figured out, what I did with this was, there's two ways. Again, you can use your voltage meter. Hopefully, if you have one, do these to check your power on it. I'm gonna guess this has probably got 2 volts on it or so. Again, because the light's flashing on it, maybe it's got 3 on it. Get our negative side or positive side. 2.863. So it's almost 3 volts. So it's almost enough for the charger to pick it up. Again, out of the 4 here, I had ones, some of them were 1.1. I had one that was like, I think 0.68 or 0.8. So it had like almost no charge to it. So the way I connected these to a charger or to another battery to help them get the charge is I use the alligator clips, and I have to make them extend beyond, like grab onto the case. So again, our positive side was our one further away from the point of connection. Our negative side was the one closest. So I'm just grabbing these, trying to pull. You might have to pull the jacket back a little bit to get a wider bite or wider grip on the alligator clip. So once those are there, they're clipped onto the battery. Again, we'll go check these with the voltage meter here. I did a video earlier with this, and I had the negative was green and the positive was black, and that was kind of goofy, so we're doing this again. Alright, so with this clipped together, again, we're showing 2.87, so we've got connection to the battery points, connections on there. Now, there's a couple ways to do it. I've soldered XT60 connections, and again, I can connect these to the battery here, or to our alligator clips here, which then allows me to plug it into my charger. And I've tried this before, but I'm not getting enough of a charge out of the charger to bring it up. And I've done it as a 1S because I don't have the balance plug on it. And again, I'm not an expert at this, so maybe there's another way to do this, but actually we'll go ahead and bump this up to the full 4900. I've done it lower, but it doesn't seem to give it enough power. I'll do this. It's going to check for the battery connection. The batteries may light up on it. Or we may not have the connection there that we had. Alright, one way to do this too is I actually keep the voltmeter connected to this. That's it, showing 3.9. So if we try this again, just checking the batteries. It'll trickle charge it up to a little under 4. Like in the batteries, the lights may come on the battery. They've done that before. But again, that was a quick charge up to 4 volts, 4.2. So we'll go ahead and disconnect this charger. We'll try plugging in our other charger. Oh, I lost her. So 4.1, 4. Yeah, the Autel charger is still not picking the battery up. So the other way I've done this, and this is, I'm sure, not the preferred method. Again, I can use my battery connections that I have. I'll show you that in a second here. So again, let's disconnect the charger from this. All right, so once we've added a little bit of voltage to the battery through the charger there, again, we'll see. It's actually, the light's not flashing on it now, so I'm not sure. But so again, we got around 4 volts. It's dropping on that. We can plug in the X-Star charger, and we're gonna notice it's not going to pick the battery up either. So you're gonna wait for a few seconds. But again, the light's on the battery pack here, charging pack. The light's not picking up the battery pack here. We'll try one other method that's not the preferred method, I'm sure, by most folks. Again, word of caution. If you try this, again, do it watching the battery pack. Be very careful with it. So what we're going to do, we're going to kind of reverse this. We're going to use the multiple charging cord. Again, remember, positive, positive, negative, negative. I don't want to short the battery out. Again, I'll leave the alligator clips on here to hopefully monitor the voltage as we're doing this. So I've got another 4S battery pack. Again, we're going to actually connect this to the 4S battery pack. It's fully charged. Again, you have to be careful doing this. That way we're not... the battery starts to smoke, starts to swell, stop. And hopefully you have fire, maybe a fire extinguisher or something around you, but we'll plug it in for a few seconds. And we're doing this again, series charge, so positive to positive, negative to negative. All right. So we did that, and if you notice, now the voltage meter is up to 12.6. So hopefully, again, this gave enough juice to the battery pack that it'll recognize it's not warm. It didn't swell. Intriguingly, this light's not lighting up. That's interesting. All right, well, let's try plugging the charger in. The other one before is when the other 4 that I did, when I charged them, the lights did come on, so. Again, there's always potential for something happening to this whole process. Okay, so the light did come on now, so there's enough voltage in the pack that's going to recognize the pack. Let's see if the lights come on. I'll give that a second. This would be interesting as our last pack. We try this too, that something happens to it and no longer something happened to LEDs or something in it. All right, so on the other 4 packs we did, we plug it in and we get the charge. Again, the voltmeter here is reading 14 volts. So it would start charging normally. This is interesting. So this would be one that did not work that way for whatever reason. Oh, there we go. So it actually turned on. All right, there we go. Now it's charging. All right, so again, not probably the most preferred method for giving the battery a little bit of juice to get it charging, but by again doing the series charge, you put the positive to the positive to the negative to the negative, so you're basically transferring the energy across the batteries in the same terminals to make one large 14-volt battery pack. Again, here we just used the smaller another 4S battery pack, so same voltage. We're able to breathe some new life into this battery. So we're going to let that one charge. We'll show you on the other one here. Again, we'll come back to that. We'll let it charge for the hour. So once these are charged up, positive, it's showing 15.3. Some of the other battery packs have been up to 16 volts. So again, so hopefully this helps. So I got 2 lights on this one. I need to charge this. This was one I've flown recently. This might have been the one I flew yesterday. And doing some experimenting with it. So again, I got to charge this one up. But my other ones I have here, they're all... I've flown a couple of these already, so again, I got to recharge them as I go. But so hopefully this helps you give some understanding to what's inside the battery, how you might be able to bring some new life back to your own battery. And we are experimenting, or I'm experimenting with a couple other battery ideas. So again, stay tuned, and we'll talk some more about potential opportunities for something to replace your Autel X-Star battery with. Alright, so we're checking back here on the battery. It's been over 2 hours at this point. It's been charging, so we're up to 4 lights on the battery. We're up to 16.8 volts, so it should be turning itself off here at some point. I guess it's doing its final charge. Then we'll plug it into the drone and kind of show you where we're at in terms of the drone recognizing. Hey, there we go. So the charger's done with its charging. 16.8 volts. All 4 lights are lighting up. So we'll go ahead and get the drone out. We'll stick it in the drone and see what the app reads. So we've got the drone out here. The charger has completed its charge of the battery. Again, it took a little over 2 hours. We're looking at 16.73 volts on it, so we'll go ahead and disconnect the charger from it. We'll disconnect our alligator clips. Turn off our voltmeter. Slide this out of the way. Now, again, the battery is charged based upon giving it a little bit of the boost and running it through the charger. So we'll go ahead and put the cover back on. So make sure you do that again. Put your button back in. Generally, I'd say do it upside down so you don't drop the button out or the button doesn't move. Line the clips back up again. This goes for the button to the button. Hold it. Okay, kind of work it a little bit up. You'll start to hear the clicks. Cover's back on. Test it. There you go. So the battery's got a charge to it. Now, one thing we can do before we put it in the drone, so now we've turned it and it's on, is actually set it down here. Slide the voltmeter back out real quick. And knock the voltmeter over. A little congested here. And if I remember correctly, the left side was the positive, the right side's the negative, so we're showing 16.35 volts coming out of the battery. So again, pretty close to what we had. 16, I think, 0.6 or 16.8 is what we were showing. With the alligator clips on it. Alright, so let's get that boy turned off. Start up. Give a second for the app to come on. Connect the app. So we're showing it's got 23 minutes with 100% on it. Our battery capacity. So 16.65 volts. Shows the battery level of 4,856, capacity 4,866. So we're actually 10 milliamps lower than what it was. Has 10 charges on it. It's got 99% history left on it, or 99% battery life left. So the cells are 14.14151618. So they're off a little bit in terms of being equally balanced, but they're pretty close. They're not, one's not that far off from the other. So as you can see, we were able to bring new life back to these old batteries. Again, words of caution: if you try this, please make sure that you monitor them when you do this. It may not work for every battery, and there's always the risk of fire or explosion with any type of lipo battery. So always monitor and watch those. I myself am going to test flight these batteries multiple times before I put them in my commercial flight rotation, just to make sure they're holding a charge. There's always the possibility they could drop out in the middle of a flight and ultimately crash the drone. But again, I'm learning through this process as we try to find a replacement for the Autel X-Star batteries, or hope that Autel brings them back. So thank you for joining me, and I hope this was helpful, informative, and join me in the next one.